all, and welcome back to Space Engineers. Today we are streaming for the build event for building a new starter pod, a new space starter pod for our SE server associated with the Discord. So we had about a week for people to build up some new starter pods and bring them to this location on the server. This is on the survival server. So it's kind of an interesting event, gets people moving around and visiting different places. We're going to do this for, thanks AWOL for the sub. We're going to do this for every single location. We started with space. We're going to do, I don't know what we're going to do next. We'll decide at some point during the stream here what location we'll be building pods for next, but we're going to keep doing it once a week until we have new pods for every single location on the server. Right now we have a vanilla system, so it's going to be space, Earth, Moon, Mars, Titan, Alien, all the different places. So it's going to be going for quite a while. We have 4 entries for the space starter pod. AWOL built one. Who made this one? Snow Tiger made that one. I made this one, and then this is Nekkyo's, I believe. As usual, somebody did not read the instructions to make it small grid, but we're going to check out the large grid pod anyway, because why not? And any pods, we're going to have voting on the Discord for anyone who has the crew role to vote for which pod they want to be the new space starter pod. And the ones that don't get voted in, I might add them to a mod to make them NPCs flying around so you can still encounter them. You just won't be able to start in them yourselves. So they might still get used, of course, with permission of the people that designed them. So it's a tentative idea, but I think it would be cool to do. I'm going to take a look at mine first because some more people might be showing up. AWOL, I believe, is here. AWOL, are you in the channel?
I'm in the channel.
Nice. So we'll have AWOL kind of show us around his, but I'm going to show everyone around mine first and kind of give the idea behind it. And then if other people show up, we'll have them show us around theirs. Otherwise, I'll just take a look at them and we'll see what they're all about. For my design, it is small grid, of course, and it is very similar to what you would see in a moon or an earth pod, for example. It has a lot of the same kind of blocks. I did decide to give it a little bit more functionality than you would normally see on a starter pod, because I think that's not really the worst thing. I don't know. I wanted to have a more unique start for a server. So even if this doesn't get chosen for our server, I'm going to add this to a mod pack for a server in the future potentially, or just for other people to use at some point. But I give it a little bit more functionality. We start with the drill. We start with some solar panels so that you don't have to worry about power on at least your initial starter grid. Of course, if you're going to go for a bit large grid right away, you're going to need a lot more than this. Small grids don't really power large grids well in any way, shape, or form. But starting with the drill will be nice. I do have you starting with a large battery, which is standard fare for starter pods. The large battery's down here. And you have an antenna, a beacon, same as normal. You got an ore detector, which I believe the starter pods always start with ore detectors, the small grid ones. I don't think you ever use them, but I think in the space case you actually would. And because our server is running the radio spectrometry mod, I actually decided to hook that up and just set it up so that if you're aiming at an asteroid with this, you can see what types of ores are on that asteroid, just looking through the camera here. See if it actually works. And maybe that asteroid's a little far, or I'm not aiming perfectly at it. But that should work, and it's a neat little thing to start with. We got a spinning antenna that's just cosmetic antenna. And I did add a medium cargo container. I figured going with the drill, that would be a nice thing to have to get you started a little bit quicker. And I have a hydrogen engine and a hydrogen tank on here if you want to refuel. That way you can recharge if you're not charging off of solar. It gives you a little bit of power that you can use to, I don't know, run a large grid or something. It was just an idea. I don't actually think that that's necessary for this ship design. It just fit in there nicely, so I added it. And we're not going to worry too much about what comes in the cargoes. We'll figure out exactly what to add to the cargoes once we pick a ship for our main actual grid, once we pick a winner. So that is pretty much everything of mine. I'm just going to look around the outside. You do have a survival kit, of course, with access to the outside. This is the way you're going to access the cargo, and this will let you put large things into the cargo container, the O2H2, and into the survival kit, so I can pull my tanks in and out of this location so I can recharge them. So that is an option. It's a little bit hidden, but it is doable. We got some blinky lights for some flavor, and that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else to really go over on this one. It's a starter pod, so they're pretty basic. I suppose I can flip in and just look through some of the blocks, see what's actually on there. It does have the equivalent of 4 small grid solar panels. These half panels output half as much as a full one, so that's how that adds up. It is just ion thrusters, just small ones, and I can fly it around a little bit. It is really lethargic, even with nothing in it, but I think that's fitting for this industrial feel for a starter pod. You're going to want to upgrade it right away, pretty much, which is the goal. When you spawn in with these vehicles, you spawn in about 1 kilometer away from an asteroid pointing at an asteroid, so I figure you're probably just going to fly straight to that asteroid and start using the drill right away, so it's not the worst thing if it's slow. Yeah, that's that. Pretty straightforward. AWOL, you want to give us a little tour of yours?
Sure.
I like how the outside looks. It looks like a little mini shuttle. I also like that we all decided to use the new cockpit. It's pretty cool. It would definitely be nice to get a starter pod with the new cockpit right away.
Well, my initial idea I wanted an interior, but not to make it big.
Yeah.
So I designed around the interior, which as you can see is everything a budding space engineer needs to start living.
Yeah.
Got your coffee
really
maker,
like
fridge, a bed, and your microwave. What else do you need?
Yeah. I'm gonna close the door here and show them the face. So this button pressurizes and depressurizes the interior.
Yes, but it was on before, so if you just turned it off, you may need to turn it back on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I gotta push the button again. There we go. So when you have pressure, you can see on my suit, it's pressurizing. The face turns to happy, which I really like.
And it's visible from the bed. So if you want to
Yep.
get in the bed.
It's visible from the bed. It's also visible through the window from the outside, so you can see if the interior is pressurized, which is nice. This is like a little bench here almost, and you can get in the cockpit from the inside too, which is cool. You can get in the cockpit from the inside and the outside, which is super useful when you're starting out. A lot of times you jump in and out of the cockpit a lot. And there's a little cargo container here, which I just noticed.
Yep, but that's not piped up to anything. It's just there for storage or whatever.
Yep, you can put some guns in there or something, decorative storage, and you have a music player.
Yes.
That's what this looks like.
If you're traveling along the stars, you may want some entertainment.
I like that a lot. Oh, I didn't depressurize it. My bad. You can also, if you leave the door open, I like that you can use the survival kit from outside. You don't have to go inside if you don't want to.
Yeah, sure. I did that on purpose.
Yep. A lot of times I want to get to those types of things without going inside, but I suppose you can access the cockpit too, so recharging power is not a big deal. It's just recharging health. And you have the bed in there, so you can sleep in your respawn pod, which is kind of cool.
Correct, yeah. You will not die in this as long as you have power and some ice.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. See your hot bar. Got a bunch of different things. Do you have what do you have for cargo on this?
I have one medium cargo here in the back. And
cool.
It's piped up to the
survival kit
O2 generator.
Oh, to the
and
O2.
then an oxygen tank, and then the survival kit. I think that's how they're piped up in order.
Yeah, so it does work for putting your... Yep, so I can access the oxygen bottles and whatnot through the back then. That's
correct.
Good.
Only through the back. You won't be able to go through the forward part.
Yep, that's kind of how mine is too. You can only access that through the container.
And there's 2 large batteries for this, one in the front and the back. The one you can see as like the bench on the side, and then there's one in the back just to give it some more power before you need to build a solar panel or whatever.
Yeah, that is a good idea. A lot of people have been complaining on the previous server that was vanilla. We had a small grid starter pod in space, and they're like, I'm always out of power. So having 2 large batteries might be kind of nice for those people specifically.
If you turn everything off, you get 3 days. If you turn off the O2 generator, you get more than a day of power, so you should be good.
And
Unless
all
you
of these
decide to
builds
spawn and then stop playing for a week or so.
Yeah, and at that point you might as well just spawn in a new ship too. If you haven't played long enough to build some solar panels, you might as well just start a new ship at that point. But all of the ships have beacons on them to start too, because our server does clean up things without beacons. That's something I checked beforehand, and all of these do have beacons, which is good. So the starter pods won't get deleted on a restart, even if you're just starting out and haven't built anything on it yet. I think that's a good addition for our server specifically. And you have a forwards facing, what is it called? Ore detector as well. So
correct. So it could use that same script.
Yeah, if people want to use it, they could set it up on the cockpit thing. You could probably go to, instead of doing artificial horizon, you could just scroll down and pick that. And then you can kind of just aim at an asteroid and look down. This is how I actually have been doing it for my scout ship for the server. I've been using the same cockpit and it works just fine, which is pretty cool. We'll leave that tweaked for now. Let's look at what other blocks are on here. You've got some headlights, which is nice for seeing dark asteroids. I almost forgot to add a spotlight to mine, but I do think that that's pretty useful in space. Oh, you have an oxygen tank too. I don't have an oxygen tank on mine. That's pretty cool. That's going to be useful for yours because you have an interior and you're actually going to be sleeping in there.
Yeah, that's why there's an oxygen tank on it.
Mm-hmm. You actually snuck a lot of stuff into a very small ship, and you have a little interior, which is cool. Yeah, I like this.
I have no idea how I managed this, to be honest with you.
Yep. This is a really good starter pod for starter pods with interiors. I definitely think that one's pretty top notch for that.
And for people who know certain blocks, there's ways to expand it to make it base worthy or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm. I like that the back is easily expandable for like adding more cargo containers and different things like that.
Yeah.
Mine is kind of, you'll have to remove the O2H2 and then you can add more cargo or whatever you want easily, but yeah, it's definitely something worth thinking about for that type of stuff. Nice. All right, I'm gonna fly it around a little bit. I actually haven't, I'm gonna jump in from the outside. I haven't flown it around at all yet.
It's like yours, it's a little sluggish, but it'll get you around.
It feels very similar to the other one. It feels like a starter pod, which is good. And when you're starting in space, like we talked about before, it doesn't really matter. Once you get up to speed, you can kind of just glide wherever you're going. So I like that. Once again, using the clean armor, which I appreciate more and more nowadays. Man, it does look slick. Just being able to get all the shapes without the textures is the smooth corners and whatnot. I've been using it a little bit more on my ships, like down here. He's down the wings here. Oh, I'm working it in, slowly working it in, and the more I use it, the more I like it, so turns out nice. See some of the pipes over there. I like that.
Yep, that's why I needed to pipe up the cockpit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta go around the side to get that interior space that you need. Alright, let's take a look at snow tigers. I haven't looked at this one at all yet. They do have a camera facing down, which I just noticed, which is probably for hooking up easily with the connector. Same cockpit we used. The cockpit, I like the antenna on the front. I think that looks cool, but I think that'd probably be the first thing I moved so that I could put a drill on the front. But there's nothing wrong with that. This also has a beacon in addition to its cockpit, or its antenna. And honestly, I'd probably get rid of the antenna right away on a starter pod anyway and turn the beacon on because it uses less power. but it looks like a converted moon or earth pod. I actually don't know. I'd have to tear it apart to see the inside. But it has a very similar setup to that kind of thing. I'm guessing they have a conveyor junction right in the middle, and that's how they're able to attach all these things to the side and to the bottom. This bottom one actually, can I even pass stuff into the cargo from here? I never... Oh yeah, everything's hooked up perfectly. Once I took it over, I can move stuff.
Okay, so it was just we didn't have...
Yeah, it's because we didn't own it. We could access the control panel with admin tools, but we couldn't pass stuff through it. And they do have some mag plates for grabbing onto things and lifting. Do you have mag plates on yours? Oh yeah, you do.
I do.
Nice. Yeah, that's a nice little addition to be able to lock yourself to something when you're in space. I have one on mine, right in the middle and the bottom. Looks like everyone has those, so that's good. This one has lots of lights, lots of surround lights, which is good. What other blocks do we have in here? Oh, they have two batteries as well. Dang, I'm the only one without 2 batteries. I didn't even notice that until I pulled open the menu. Bunch of ion thrusters, the mag plates, a medium cargo. 1 medium cargo, it looks like. 1 O2H2, which you can access from the outside. I'm guessing that's the one on the back. Oh no, that's on the left side. So that's fine. And it maneuvers very similar to the other vehicles. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit... I actually don't know if it's lighter than mine because it has 2 batteries. Probably a similar weight to mine, maybe a little bit lighter. It moves forwards faster, but forwards and up and down it looks like it's going to move pretty quick for ion thrusters. But a nice little starter pod. The last one, let's move the sun around a little bit. The sun is in a weird spot right now. There we go. A little bit better. The last one is Nekkyo's submission. Yes, it was built by Nekkyo. And they have a little explanation here that I'll just go ahead and read. Meant to be a less claustrophobic version of the original Respawn space pod. It has the same capabilities, but an easier design to upgrade without having to heavily alter the appearance of the ship. It does not utilize any DLC blocks, so as to allow players freedom to upgrade, repair, and redesign as needed without worrying about what DLCs they have, which is nice. I think that's a good idea. The back looks very similar to the standard Respawn pod, so I wonder if they just cut the nose off and then made a larger interior directly attached to the back. I'm not entirely certain, but we're going to go inside and check it out. Flip my lights on. Actually, turn the lights off and just see how it looks without the lights. They do have proper lighting in here, so you don't need your headlights on. Got the beacon there and the floor, cargo container. Let's look what else they have in here. Ion thrusters, of course. O2H2 oxygen tank. Survival kit. Really basic stuff. Couple batteries. Make sure we're seeing everything. Yeah, we are. Yeah, very similar to the normal one. And it does have an airlock, so it has the double door for an airlock, which the normal pod does not have. Survival kit. And I can access all the different tanks and O2H2s and whatnot from this cargo container, which is nice. And then we've got lots of room up here if you wanted to add beds. You could add beds in right there, a bathroom, whatever you want, really. Even adding some pipes and some more storage wouldn't be terribly difficult with this design. Would probably remove that top thruster and put a drill right on the top first thing. That's always what I think of when I look at Respawn pods, is how would I attach a drill to it right away? Which is why I just added a drill to my Respawn pod, because it's always the first thing I do. So yeah, I'd remove this thruster probably, and I'd put a drill right on the front. And that would work just fine. This one actually moves a little bit better than I think the default pod does, because I think it's a little lighter because it doesn't have those extra blocks. Not bad at all. They used the clean armor as well, which is kind of cool. Anything else I'm missing on this one? Doesn't look like it. What is this on the menu? Additional system power? I'm guessing that's what that abbreviation means. Maybe that's for the batteries or the hydrogen engine. Let's look up that group. Oh, I see what it is. This is the blocks that when you're parking, if you want your power to last longer, you want to turn these off. The O2H2s, the gyros, the beacon, that's the type of stuff you want to turn off. That's just going to drain power doing nothing. So that's nice to have on the hotbar, actually. I would probably do that or recommend that for any of our ships. Whichever one wins, probably have a power down button on the hotbar. Wouldn't be a bad idea. But yep, that's pretty much the 4 options. We'll have a vote on Discord where you can vote for which one you think is your favorite, and probably I'll run that poll for a week, and then next week when we're doing when I'm looking at the ships for the next event, I'll announce who the winner was from this event, and then we will have probably sometime that weekend I will slap together the mod. These ones are really easy to put together, the respawn ship mods. So I'll slap together the mod, and then starting next week we'll have the new respawn pods. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed looking through all of these space pods. I had a great time, and if you want to get involved in future events or just come hang out with us and play on the server, link to our Discord is in the description down below. For now though, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.